Hello all you crafty crows. Today we're going to repair something that broke on us on our last camping trip. Unfortunately, item A broke on me. You can see the belt loop just come off. So today's video we're going to see what we can do to repair this. What I've got in mind kind of scares the crap out of me. But I think we can do it. It's going to take a little bit of work and ought to make it a lot stronger. So stick with us. Come with us. We're going to make a little bit of modifications to our bush knife. Okay, so I've researched it a little bit on YouTube, and what we're going to do is, instead of putting another single rivet in this, we're going to sew it in. And to sew it in, we're going to have to cut the stitch lines. So we'll see how that works out for us. Got a pretty good idea what we're going to do though, and what I want to do. So let's dive into it and get started. So we got all the materials laid out. Quick note, I hate that we can't use copyright music on these videos. I was just listening to music, and those of y'all in my age group, how bad is it? Like I said, this is a quick side note. How bad is it that 80s and 90s music is considered classic rock now? Getting old, boys and girls, getting old. Okay. So, let's set some for crap out of the way. Now, I broke this when I was getting in the hammock the other day. It set right up on my belt, and I'm sure there's a lot of stress, especially being fat. So, still got a good coat of wax on it, because I use beeswax. Kind of my own making, but we're going to set Kathy out on the side. YouTube fuel. And we're going to get to figuring out what to do with this. So this was just a brass rivet, looks like. And I mean, the sheath is good, the leather is good, I like it, but that was just not enough to hold. So, looking at YouTube, researching, this could be the right way, the wrong way. First thing we got to do, and the thing that I'm most nervous about, we got to cut all these stitches. And I'm sure this welt is probably glued in, so get a little super sharp open nail knife, open, whatever. We're going to cut our stitches if we don't cut ourselves. Oh, that hurts my heart. Right now, as another little side note, it would be a great time for, if you wanted to put one of the little ferro rod holders in this, it would be an awesome time to do it. And what you would do is cut out whatever section out of this welt, and then you use your leather and fold it over, and that's what you would put in that welt line. So you could do that while you had this apart. I've thought about it, but I'm not going to do it. Maybe later on, you can see how much this knife is dug in. One of the problems with this, it sat so high up on my belt. I liked it. It was comfortable when we went out the other day, but you can see I've cut into this, cut into this. I mean, that's a pretty bad cut in there. That could have went through the leather. So it was really hard to get up and down on my side as high up as it set. So we're going to do a little trick on this. All right. Now we've got to find something to pull all of these threads out. threads are out. Okay, we're gonna line up the hole. Now what we're gonna do next, you can do this with the awl, any other kind of way you want to, but I've got a drill with a small drill bit, and that's gonna be the quickest and easiest for me. So you kind of drill it whatever pattern you want, but just make sure there's enough that, you know, it's going to go all the way around and it's going to hold. Okay, we'll get our needle out and I'll show you how to thread this end here in a minute, because we're going to do a couple of things. Put you a good knot on the end, that ought to be plenty enough to sew this up. So the next thing we're going to do is take one of these brass rings that we got, put right there on there. Just pick a hole to start from the inside. Come up through it, line it up with the other hole. Bring it on through. Now, this first time, line all these holes up will be a little difficult maybe. So you want to peel it back and make sure each one's getting right. But you'll go back through this in a second and it'll be pretty easy to keep everything lined up. Okay, that's the first time through. Now what you got to do is go through the same holes again. If it starts having some problems sliding through, all you got to do is get, this is my fix and wax that I made, but mostly beeswax. I think this is beeswax, olive oil, and vitamin E oil. Made a few batches of it. Use it for a lot of different uses, but just wax your string a little bit. It'll slide through it a lot easier. And that's good for your skin. Now, if you have to do this in the field, you should always have a sewing kit, like in your bushcraft kit. But you should have a good sail needle that will go through this, and if you have to force it through, you know, you could use bank line. I've actually repaired one before with bank line. Just unstrand, because there's 3 strands in the bank line. Unstrand one, it'll work on this needle because it's got a big eye. And then if you've got a multi-tool, like you probably do, just use it to pull through on the rough parts. You know, if you don't go exactly in the holes every time, that's fine. And if you've got fix and wax all over your fingers, like I do now, that you can't hold on to nothing, use that. But you could very well do this in the field if you needed to. You should have everything that you need if you've got bank line and a sail needle and a multi-tool, which is all things that's kind of in your kit anyway. There we have it. Now that's probably more secure than what the rivet was. This, you know, may end up breaking again, but if it does, then we know how to fix it. The fun part, putting them back together. All these holes ought to be big enough for your needle. They're already there, they're already in line, they've already got, I mean, just gonna have to sew this back up, right? So that makes life easy on us. We'll get us a nice big long stretch over twine, and while we've got it out and our hands are already jacked up beyond belief, we'll go ahead and run it through the wax. I don't know for sure that you can see this. You thread this through, and as thick as this is, flatten it out a little bit. thread this through the eye. But get you a pretty good tail on it. Then all you do, turn it up and go right through the center of that. Then all it does is you just slide it down, and there you go. This keeps it flat and keeps it about the same thickness. You don't put a knot or anything in there, and makes it go through easier. So I'm going to start the first stitch all the way here at the bottom. And I'm also going to make my little knot down here. Cannot hold on to that needle. Now what we'll do to keep that head in there, we'll go through the next hole and come up through it. Then go over into the first hole on the other side. Now we'll come up through that next one. Back through that first one, or back through the second one on the other side. And now all it is connect the dots all the way up. Now that you got to the top, and remember it's important to pull these tight all the way up. But you can see it's like gapped. So when you do single stitching like this, when you get to the top, you turn around and you can probably see right there, follow that gap back. You basically just sew back down, all the way back down. Now, got to the end, so let's back stitch a couple of holes. There we go. You can see the welt all the way down is back sealed. We've got our belt loop stitched on now. And it's right back down the same groove that it was in. And that, boys and girls, is all there is to it. So you can see we've got Kathy's sheath prepared. Wasn't that big a deal. I know a lot of you probably have that problem or have had that problem in the past. And I'll let you know what this ring is for if some of you ain't figured it out already in one of the next videos, because we want to make a little something, make a modification to this. But just in case that rivet pops off on your belt loop, you can do a number of things. You could have put buttons on this so it's easier to get on and off your belt, and I have to take your belt off. But sewn in is better. And this stitch line, I mean, looking at it is, yeah, it's not like it come, but I don't have an industrial leather sewing machine. But hand stitched, you can say this is hand stitched now if you want to. But knowing your equipment and knowing how to fix your equipment is very important. Our grandparents, knew this a lot better than we did. But instead of just throwing something away and going out and buying something new, sometimes, I mean, this leather is good leather. Sometimes it's better to figure out how this works, figure out how your equipment works, and know how to repair it. That way in the future you can keep repairing it. Eventually it'll wear out and you'll have to buy a replacement, but things last a lot longer than what we think, especially here in the US. We're used to something breaks, we throw it out. That's not always the case of what you have to do. So sit down sometime. This just took just a little while. I don't know how long it actually took, without the video editing, but it didn't take long. It can be an evening project. Gives you something to do and helps you learn some new skills. So thanks for coming with us today. Thanks for hanging out here in the shop. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. Till next time, love one another, as the good Lord tells you. We'll see you on the next video.